Hey guys, Alex here with this cob house, and in this video I'm going to go over 10 basic reasons of why to build a cob house over, say, a conventional style house. So the number one reason is a cob house is going to last a lot longer than a conventional home or most other style homes. So as long as the cob home is built properly, for example, it has a good foundation, a good roof, good protection from weather, and you maintain it, do basic maintenance, it can potentially last for hundreds of years. We have examples in Devon, England of, I believe, 600-year-old cob homes. So they have definitely stood the test of time. As compared to a conventional stick frame home, they're really only designed to last about a generation these days. If you have an old one built in the 20s or 30s or 40s maybe, they were built better, but these days they're built really poorly, and they're not going to last. It's not really something you're going to be able to hand down through your family. Alright, number two reason to build a cob house is non-toxic, and it's a healthy indoor environment, because you're removing a lot of materials and ingredients in those materials that are toxic in modern construction in the wall systems. You're also getting rid of the potential for mold growth in your wall system with cob. For example, you don't have any drywall, you don't have wood, and the thing is with the modern wood stud system and the drywall, there's a lot of plastic and water barriers involved and synthetic paints, and water always intrudes into these systems anyway, and so once it gets in, it can't escape, and then it just builds up inside the wall and deteriorates it and molds, and it's a big mess, and it's not healthy for your indoor environment. So you eliminate all these things with cob walls. Number three is cob has high thermal mass and is therefore very energy efficient for most climates. So the thermal mass is different from insulation. Thermal mass is like a heat or an energy battery, or a cooling battery, or a heating battery, one or the other. That's the way I try to explain it in the most basic way. So the high thermal mass structures are able to just naturally, evenly maintain the indoor temperature without the need for heating and cooling systems, or nearly as much of the heating and cooling systems. It all depends on your climate and the season you're in. Number four reason to build a cob home is cob walls have what's called hydratic buffering, because they're made out of soil and clay, and the hydratic buffering ability of cob allows the walls to actually absorb and re-release moisture just naturally. And so one great benefit to the hydratic buffering is if you're in a very humid climate. If you have really humid summers, especially like us down in the southeast here of the United States, the hydratic buffering of cob walls is really excellent. Really makes cob great down here, especially. Number five reason to build a cob home is cob is fireproof. Cob is completely fireproof. It does not catch on fire. There is straw inside cob, but the straw is contained within the wall, and even if some of the straw could get potentially burned or singed off the face of the cob wall, but it doesn't actually burn into the wall. I've done my own fire tests on this, and it's incredible. I mean, you know, it's obviously earth doesn't burn, and that's what you're building your wall with, but Even the straw doesn't really catch unless it's just sticking out of the wall completely. Number 6 reason to build cob home is it's termite and rodent proof. As far as the walls go, the walls are solid mass earth walls. I've personally never come across any kind of rodents or animals trying to burrow into a cob wall. You will get the occasional ants and mason bees. These are the only pests that have an interest in earth as far as I've come across. But there are ways to stop them as well. A good stem wall and a good coating of lime plaster. But you don't have to deal with termites. So number 7 reason is cob homes are seismic resistant and wind resistant. So at least as compared to the conventional stick frame structures we have today. So if you're in a seismic zone or a high wind zone, if you build cob, especially if you build according to the cob code, which is in the International Residential Code, I mean, you're basically building a bomb shelter at that point, and it'll last through pretty much anything. But just cob, traditional cob without the metal reinforcements and all that, is still seismic and wind resistant. Number 8, reason to build a cob home is you reduce the amount of lumber required. For one, lumber is more expensive off and on these days, and so you could save some money there. The actual, well, actually this goes into number 9, but so the number 9 reason to build a cob home is the low cost of the wall material. So cob is a combination of clay-rich subsoil, an aggregate, a fiber such as straw, and water, all combined. That's cob, and so these ingredients are really cheap. So the cost to build your actual cob walls is very low. So you can save money there. You don't need all the lumber and the framing. Cob walls are load bearing by themselves. They don't need to have post and beam framing. So that's another great advantage. And number 10, the last reason on my list here to build a cob home, is cob homes are more artistic and have more creative potential, at least in a lot of cases. It just depends on the style that you're building the cob and what you want. But I'm going to say that you have more potential for creative expression in your structure with cob as compared to just building a stick frame box. Basically, that's the way I kind of see modern stick frame construction, is just building a big cardboard box. So there is, I think, in my opinion, there's more room for creativity with cob as compared to a lot of other building materials. So that's all I have on my list. I hope that helps give you some information on why to build a cob home over, say, a conventional home. And I'll make videos on why to build, for example, a straw clay home, which I'm actually in right now. I'm in my straw clay home here. The difference between the cob and the straw clay, just the main one, is this has high insulation, low thermal mass, whereas cob has high thermal mass, low insulation. So they're really two opposites, and I'll get into that one next. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.